Hi there, everyone. Welcome to The Daily Gardener. I'm your host, Jennifer Ebling. It's May 24th. Emerson once wrote, "To science, there is no poison. To botany, no weed. To chemistry, no dirt." As much as I like this quote, I know most gardeners will beg to differ. To gardeners, there are weeds. As I mentioned in an earlier episode this month, we often forget the one key variable in gardening, the gardener. Each of us as gardeners has our own point of view when it comes to weeds. On May 12, 1957, Vita Sackville West reached the same conclusion when she said, "It was borne in on me, not for the first time, how the weeds of one country are the flowers of another." Recently in the tropics, I had been shocked on seeing my host and hostess tearing up green oddments, saying, "That wretched thing," all over the place as usual. This was Gloriosa superba, which we have to grow carefully in heat if we want it at all. Here's today's brevities. It's the birthday of Ynes Mexia, a Mexican-American botanist born in 1870. After a lifetime of turbulent personal challenges, Mexia discovered the Sierra Club at age 50, and she decided to enroll at Berkeley in order to take botany classes. She would take classes there on and off over the next 16 years. Her goal was not to graduate, but simply to learn more about plants. Mexia fell in love with fieldwork, and she went on numerous trips through the southwestern part of the United States, Mexico, and South America. Although Mexia was a late bloomer as a botanist, her collecting efforts proved extraordinary. Many scholars argue that she was the most accomplished plant collector of her time. And it's the birthday of Queen Victoria. Kensington Palace is marking the bicentenary, the 200th anniversary of Victoria's birth, with an impressive floral display at the Sunken Garden. The display will include flowers from the Victorian period, such as heliotropes, cannas, pelargoniums, and begonias. Violets were her favorite flowers. When Victoria married Albert, she broke with protocol. Instead of wearing a crown, she wore a wreath of orange blossoms. On this day in 2018, the Oakville Horticultural Society outside of Quebec offered a screening of the documentary The Gardener, featuring horticulturist Frank Cabot and his masterpiece garden, Quatre, or The Four Winds. There's a wonderful video of an interview that Martha Stewart did with Frank. He tells about the Moon Bridge being a copy of a moon bridge from Seven Star Park in China. And he says, "I'm a great believer in plagiarizing. I think all gardeners are. Why not take someone else's good idea and adapt it to one's site?" In Unearthed Words, today we have a special treat. It's The Naming of Plants by Linda Linen. The naming of plants? It really does matter. It isn't correct to think all are the same. You may think at first I'm indulging in patter, but I tell you, a plant must have 4 different names. First comes the name that tells us its genus: Gaillardia, Solanum, Ilex or Phlox, Clematis and Salvia, Silphium, Quercus. The Latin is easy, not hard as a rock. There are fancier names if you think they sound sweeter, some for the cactus and some for the canes. Monarda, Justicia, or even Lantana make lovely and sensible Latinate names. And then every plant needs a name more particular, a name that's specific and quite dignified. Else, how could it keep all its stems perpendicular, spread out its anthers, or blossom with pride? For namings of this sort, I'll give you fair dozens: Lauratum, Drummondii, Frutescens, and more. Crispus, Limosa, Luteola, Texensis. Those names help describe what we're all looking for. Of course, there are names by which most people call plants, like violet, hollyhock, iris, and thyme. There's nothing more common than sweet dandelions, or peaches, or rhubarb, for making our wine. But above and beyond, there's one name left over, and that is the name that you never will guess. The name that no researcher ever discovers, which the plant itself knows, but will not confess. When you notice a bloom in profound meditation, its rays sweetly folded, or its leaves well arrayed, its mind is engaged in a rapt contemplation of the seed of a thought of its name, its sturdy and windblown, sun-kissed and shadowed, deep and firm-rooted, most singular name. You can find Linda at her websites. The first one's Len Yap. I'll let you discover the marvelousness of that name and all of Linda's work there. I have a link to it in the show notes. And you can also find Linda at The Task at Hand, which is native plant centered and essentially photographic in nature. Today's book recommendation is The Naming of Names by Anna Pavard. A few words to describe this book are gorgeous and indispensable. Pavard traces the history of plant taxonomy. I'm down with anything by Pavard, and you can get used copies of this excellent book on Amazon through the link in the show notes for around $3. Today's garden chore is another Photo Friday in the garden. Take inventory of your weeds. That's right, because I bet you need help identifying at least a handful. So if you take the pictures, you'll have them with you and you can get help identifying them. Finally, here's something sweet to revive the little botanic spark in your heart. When I was researching Mexia, I learned that the concept of having plants named in her honor gave her an immense satisfaction. It was almost as if she was scrambling to leave a botanical legacy. Like all plant explorers, Mexia had her war stories. Once Mexia had accidentally eaten a poisonous berry, the indigenous people shared an ingenious remedy with her. Stick a chicken feather down your throat to coax the berries back up. It worked. When she nearly died after falling from a cliff in Mexico, her team attempted to make her feel better by naming 2 flowers after her, the Maxianthus mexicanus and the Mimosa Mexii. Thanks for listening to The Daily Gardener, and remember, for a happy, healthy life, garden every day. The Daily Gardener is produced weekdays in lovely Maple Grove, Minnesota. You can find complete show notes over at thedailygardener.org, and be sure to share the show with your garden friends. You can find The Daily Gardener on all your favorite social media, Instagram, Twitter, and Pinterest, and of course, Facebook. While you're over at Facebook, don't forget to join the Daily Gardener community. Just search for these 3 words, Daily Gardener Community. The group will pop right up and then request to join. Finally, I want to thank my team at Podfly Productions, where my fabulous editor is Eric Begay. Have a lovely Memorial Day weekend, and we'll see you on Tuesday.